Good morning. By a show of hands, who here could use an extra $1,000 or two of monthly income? If your hand did not go up, why not collect the money anyway and give it to charity? By a show of hands, who here could use an extra 5 or 10 hours a week to spend with their family, friends, or simply me time? If your hand didn't go up because you're unemployed, then refer to my last question. By a show of hands, who here would like to create more passion in their personal, intimate relationship? If you came here with someone and they put their hands up while you did not, you should be paying attention. Who here thinks this morning I may try to sell you something? I will not let you down. Actually, I'm not going to try and sell you anything. I'm going to sell you something. I am. I'm going to sell you on doing the things you know you're supposed to be doing. I'm going to sell you on taking the actions you know you're supposed to take. I'm going to sell you on living the life that you were designed to live. I'm going to sell you on having everything you ever wanted. In addition, I'm going to be giving away thousands of dollars worth of transformative training materials, books, tapes, and maybe even a $5,000 one-on-one training session with me. Who wants to win? Put them up and say, oh yeah. Keep them up nice and high. If your hand isn't up right now and you win, I promise you, I will not give you anything. No, I mean it. If this is too much energy to put out on your own behalf, quite frankly, your life is already guaranteed to suck. Yes, absolutely. I don't blame you for sneaking up late. I would have too. Go ahead, drop your hands down. Oh, I'm so grateful to be with you today. I'm so very excited for you because I know what the next hour in your life is going to mean for you. You're going to experience a light bulb moment, an epiphany where the fog clears and your life begins to make more sense than it ever has before. You're going to understand where you are, why you're there, and more importantly, what you need to do to get where you want to be. Who ever seen Jennifer Aniston's movie Love Happens? Aaron Eckert asks his class, well, what they see while they're standing outside a downtown Seattle building. They see trash, honking cars, homeless people, and then lots of middle fingers. He then leads them up to the rooftop of the skyscraper they're standing outside of and asks, now what do you see? They see oceans, rivers, Mount Rainier, suns, and uh, all that beauty was always there. They simply needed to see it from a different perspective. Today, we're going to gain a new perspective on life. How many of you have ever seen an amazing hypnotism show and wondered if it were real? Well, they are real and it is amazing. I remember my first experience with a hypnotic show. I was a production supervisor with Unilever. We were at the annual Christmas gala at the historic Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. The entertainer, a hypnotist, called me up to volunteer. I went up on stage and I was selected for the show. It was the weirdest thing because while I was on stage, I really wasn't quite sure what was happening. It had my brain racing, and I remember I wasn't quite certain if hypnotism was even real or not. I remember he did give me a suggestion that when he said the word rock star, I would jump up out of my seat, go to the front of the stage, see my favorite singer, and scream like a lunatic. Keep in mind, all of management was at this party. These weren't just my coworkers, but my boss and all the executives as well. I wasn't about to make a fool of myself, which may jeopardize a promotion. So I remember sitting on stage thinking, how do I get myself out of this? There was no way I was going to embarrass myself in front of my boss and all the executives. And yet the weirdest thing happened. He said the word rock star, and it was almost like a magnet pulled me up out of my seat. The whole time I'm being pulled to the front of the stage, I'm thinking, I don't have to do this. And yet there I was screaming like a lunatic. It was a weird thing. It's really strange. After that, I remember wondering, was I really hypnotized or was I just doing what the hypnotist told me to do? And I thought about it. What if you told me to stop smoking and I just did it? What if you told me to lose weight and I just did it? What if he told me to go out and be a millionaire? And because he said I could, I believed that I would. Should I just go take action now? I realized in that moment that if this were hypnosis, which it is, then this is a very powerful, powerful, powerful process. How many of you would love it if you got out of your head long enough to do the things that you know you should do to get what you want? How many of you would want me to give you that gift this morning? How many of you would like to get as much as possible out of our time this morning as possible? Now, I want that for you. I do. Zig Ziglar teaches us that we can get everything we want if we simply help enough other people get what they want. I want to help you get as much as possible out of our time together. And for most of you in this room, this is going to be the beginning of a lifetime relationship between us. I promise you. Once I explain to you how you can run your brain more powerfully, more effectively, once you understand how to achieve wealth more easily, more readily, once you understand how to get all the old programs that aren't working out of your head and plug in all the new ones that are, you'll want to hang out with me for life. I'm positive of that. Now, there may be a couple people in this room that I'm not your cup of tea. Maybe I'm not the guy that's here to train you. It's possible, not likely, yet anything's possible. The truth is, I want to make sure everybody here gets as much as they possibly can out of their time with me. So, for those of you that are with me, I want you to do yourself a favor. I want you to take out a sheet of paper and across the top, I want you to write these words: take action now. Why? Because tomorrow never comes. By a show of hand, who here has children? Who here has seen the movie Kung Fu Panda? Po the Panda is taught yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. You see, what you don't do right now simply does not get done. Take action now. When? You're awesome. By the course of our time together, I want you to understand that I'm a product of the product. I'm not simply a guy that stands here on the platform and teaches stuff that I learned. I teach stuff that I live, and the reason I teach this stuff is, as you'll soon realize, is it transformed my life, and I want to help you transform your life. Despite Obama telling us that unemployment is falling and the economy is getting better, the sad fact remains that 1 out of every 3 Americans lives below the poverty line. Now, Americans are resourceful. They find ways to survive. Even our homeless are better off than the citizens of many countries. I should know. I was one of them. When I was 10, I earned spending money mowing lawns and raking the leaves of neighbors. And I had my first newspaper route at 12, and at 15, I was a groundskeeper. At 17, I became financially independent from my parents when I joined the Air Force. After 9 years of active duty, I sought the riches of corporate America and worked for Unilever for 5 years until I was unexpectedly downsized. And then I worked for AT&T for another 5 years when I was unexpectedly downsized again. Now, losing my job like that played havoc with my psyche. I really felt like a failure. That's when I met Tracy. Here was this attractive woman, well put together, well educated, paying attention to me, stroking my ego at a time that needed it. Now, have you ever heard stories of elderly people being conned out of their life savings? Have you ever wondered how people could be so gullible? Well, I'm ashamed to admit, but now I know. You see, that attractive woman I mentioned turned out to be a very attractive con artist. By the time she was done with me, she had cleaned me out of my life savings, my IRA accounts, my future family security to the tune of $200,000 and left me penniless. Actually, penniless would be a step up. I still had to deal with $85,000 in IRS early withdrawal penalties from my retirement accounts. And finding myself homeless was an adventure, to say the least. Thank God I never went hungry. I would visit food courts, I'd clean up tables, and then enjoy the leftovers. The worst part was hiding my status from my friends. If we'd go out to eat, I'd pretend I wasn't hungry so I didn't have to order anything else. If I went on activity that cost money, I'd make up excuses why I wouldn't be able to go. For months, I had this excruciating toothache, and I finally went to a dentist who offered x-rays, exam, and a cleaning for $25. He told me I needed a root canal to the tune of $500. Well, it may well have been $5 million. Uh, I just wept and I lost that tooth. I couldn't believe I wasn't even able to take care of my own health. That's about when I saw an advertisement for a slasher used car event. I camped out for a week in front of a dealership to ensure that I was first in line, but it totally paid off as I was able to pick up a black Chevy S10 mini truck with a topper for only $88. It was actually pretty comfortable. I was able to sleep safely in the back and even had a little 4-inch black and white television that I used to watch MASH late at night. Sometimes I parked at the beach and was serenaded to sleep by the crashing waves. It wasn't that bad. Still, times are much better now. Based on what I'm about to teach you, utilizing the skills and the programs and the lessons and the strategies that you're about to get right now, my whole life transformed. I'm proud to share that I now have an amazing and sexy wife, one that's amazing and the other one's sexy. And we have two beautiful princesses, ages 6 and 8. They were both awarded Students of the Month. We have no debt, not even from credit cards, and own our own home and cars free and clear. Now, they may not be the fanciest and most expensive homes and rides, but they're paid off. And I may not exactly have millions in the bank yet, but as I learned from Harv Eker, I know it's simply a matter of time before those millions are deposited in my account. Meanwhile, I'm cherishing the journey. More importantly, I know my children are being programmed so that they can make their own millions. Lexus, my 8-year-old, recently bought a trinket for $10 and sold it to a friend of hers for $40. When I made her give the money back, she said, "But Daddy, isn't that what you taught me?" Now, how many of you think that your life would be much less stressed, much more productive if you were debt free too? Absolutely. How many of you would want that for your children? I do too. Now, during our time together, I want you to understand millionaires think differently. They do. Their brains have been programmed to function differently. And my job this morning is help your brain start thinking more like a millionaire so you can make more powerful decisions. Who here remembers Eddie Murphy in Trading Places? Where you are today is a result of the decisions you made yesterday. If you keep making the same decisions, you'll keep getting the same results. Does that make sense? Once you realize how liberating it is to choose your own thoughts, the light bulb will turn on inside your head. You'll be able to program a new story that serves you rather than handicaps you. I know because I did that. You see, it's not that difficult to hypnotize people. The challenge is bringing them out of the trance that they're walking around in every day, telling them who they are and who they aren't, what they deserve to have and what they don't deserve to have, what kind of life is possible and what is impossible. I know because as a youth, I was hypnotized to believe that making money was for the difficult and for the rich. I was hypnotized to believe that making wealth takes a lot of hard effort and hard work. And I now realize none of that is true. In Landmark speak, it was all just a story. Today, we're going to talk about influence because it's everything. There are truly only two things that you need to get everything you want, and they both have to do with influence. I want you to write this down. Communication equals wealth. Communication equals wealth. I'm going to teach you this morning how to communicate. I'm going to teach you how to take what's going on inside your brain and make it more effective. Be more powerful. And then I'm going to teach you how to communicate that out to other people so that whatever it is you're selling, they want. It could be simply a raise at work, getting that cute guy to ask you out, or simply getting your friends to see the movie that you've been waiting to see. I want you to write this down. Intercommunication is called programming. Intercommunication is called programming. It's a 1,500 words per minute that are whizzing through your brain right now, telling you who you are and who you aren't, what you can be and what you can have. Outward communication is called influence. Outward communication is called influence. It's the ability to communicate with other people in such a way that they want to give you what you want. In fact, I'm going to give you a definition of influence that's going to make you tingle. You will love it. Write this down. Influence is not getting somebody else to say yes. Write this down. Influence is getting somebody else to ask you for what you're selling. Influence is getting someone else to ask you for what you are selling. That's not even the part that'll make you tingle. Here it is. And have them believe it was their idea. Ooh. How many of you like that concept? How many of you want to learn that badly? You know, Wesley, times are really tough now. The company has been bleeding for cash for years, and we're going through a reduction in force. Our personal budget has been severely cut back, and now's not the time for new expenditures. But you're different. You've taken the time to outline all your contributions, and I know how valuable you are to this company, and I know how much you like it here. And frankly, we can't afford to lose you. It's only 10%, but would you please accept this raise with my sincerest gratitude? How many of you think it's possible to communicate in such a way that they will communicate back to you in turn that way? Yes, absolutely. You get what you give out. And since it is possible, how many of you would like to learn how to do that? I want you to write this down. It's imperative to your success in any arena that you step into as an entrepreneur, manager, laborer, or parent. Write this down. Those that are afraid to buy are always afraid to sell. Those that are afraid to buy are always afraid to sell. See, the economy revolves around buying and selling. We're in a so-called recession. I'm not in a recession. My business is better than ever. Lord knows the oil companies aren't in a recession. They're making more money than ever. Their profits are going through the roof. So I guess then, here's the question. Who's in a recession? It's the little guy. Who's the little guy? Not me. Do you want to be known as the little guy? I think not. My point is, there's a way for you to win this game that's different from how you've been playing it, and it works. I'm not suggesting that you should gouge people like I feel the oil companies are or my daughter did to her friend. What I'm suggesting is you should get smarter and figure out how to give people what they want. Our leaders tell us that we're in a financial peril to the decisions of past administrations. How many of you figured out that what causes a recession now is a lack of cash flow? How many of you realize that? Once on the way to Vegas, my friend Jade and I stopped at the Barstow Factory Outlet. She walked out of the Coach store sporting a new bag with a big smile on her face. She exclaimed, "I'm helping out the economy." And she was. You want to save this country now? You go out and buy. You betcha. You go out and buy. Go out and buy that bicycle that your kids have been asking for. Go out and buy the vacation that you've been wanting to take your family on. Go out and buy that car that excites you so much. Go out and buy. Why? Because when cash is flowing, the economy is good, isn't it? How come people have such a hard time understanding that on a personal level? You want to make more money now. You've got to go out and create cash flow. How many of you realize that there are people you talked to before you came to this program? You told them, "Hey, I'm going to this conference." And they said, "Oh, you're going to another seminar? Don't let them try and sell you anything." As if your buying is bad for your economy, or frankly, even theirs. Understand, I'm on a mission right now. I love my country. I fought for her in the Air Force, and I'm fighting for her now. My mission is to reestablish America as the land of prosperity by opening people's minds, giving them a new understanding and a new perspective. How many of you think that millionaires not only think differently, but act differently too? How many believe that? They do. And for the sake of the discussion, I'd like permission to call a millionaire anyone who's earning $1 million or more per year joyfully. Are you guys okay with that definition? Who's okay with that definition? It doesn't have to be passively. My income isn't passive. I'm here actively, except I'm here joyfully. I'm doing what I want to do, not what I don't want to do. So, how many of you kind of actually like that definition? A person that earns $1 million a year or more joyfully every single year. Do you like that? And for the sake of discussion, I'd like to define a pauper as someone who isn't earning $1 million a year joyfully. How many of you like that definition? Oh, I lost a few of you. I get it. And here's why I lost you. It's because you aren't earning $1 million a year. Now, some of you may be thinking, that's kind of rude of me to say. I get it. At the same time, you do want me to tell you the truth, don't you? And truth be told, I want you to get irritated. I want you to break free of your comfort zone. See, the good news is it's not that difficult to become a millionaire. The challenge, though, is you've been programmed since birth uh, not to be a millionaire. And I'm going to get to that in a moment. You've been taught ever since you were little how to be a pauper. Most of you have been taught how to be really good laborers. Even our schools and universities are designed to teach you how to be good employees, not how to make money. Those that labor earn the money for those that think. How many of you agree with me that that's almost certainly true? And there's nothing wrong with that. The trick is you simply need to change your thoughts. I mean, with your parents, the first hypnotists that you met, they were, you non critically accepted what they told you to be true. And some of the stuff they told you was messed up, even though they thought it was real and they really did love you. I once found myself at a small gathering at the home of a friend of a friend. They were Samoan. His wife was about 5'5" and easily weighed 200 pounds. Her kindergarten age daughter kept on running up to her, interrupting. Exasperating, the mom finally yelled, "You big, fat, ugly girl! You're such a big, fat, ugly girl! I don't want to see your big, fat, ugly face! Go back to your room!" I was shocked. Her innocent face simply changed from happiness to despair. She was obviously crushed and hurt. She cried all the way back to her room. On the inside, I was crying with her. How many of you believe that if you took a child from the time he was born until he was 8 years old and spoke to the child that way, you would massively scar that child for life? It's a tragedy. You know, we had this fun presentation going on that I shared a story that lasted a few seconds. And you can feel the whole tone of the room shift. You could feel the tension in that moment. And it wasn't even directed at you. It was toward a little girl that none of you even know. And yet, everyone still feels her pain. Can you imagine hearing that every single day for the first and formative years of your life? Could you imagine hearing that? Well, what if you took that same girl and from the time she was born until the time she was 8, uh, every single day you told her, Leslie, you are a gift from God. You are touching lives and changing the world. You are a genius. You are rich and powerful, just like your big sister. How many of you think if you that child now grows up differently? She does. And see, when you program young minds that way, they turn out vastly differently. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. Hogwash. Words have power beyond imagination.